Do you guys ever read a book and you hate it so much that you literally want to throw it out of a window? Well, 2 of the books that have made me want to do that are in this list.
Disclaimer, this video means no harm. If you are offended by this video, that is purely your fault. If I talk about one of your favorite books in this video, it does not mean that I hate you or I am forcing you to not read that book or not like that book. Thank you very much.
Hi folks, Harry here and welcome back to Other Worlds Than These. So, today's video is sort of a negative Nancy kind of video. So today I will be discussing my top 5 least favourite Stephen King books. This has been a very requested video ever since I started my YouTube channel. So I'm finally getting to it now and I'm going to be telling you my top 5 least favourite Stephen King books. So I should let you know, the first 2 books I mention in this list I don't hate, they just happen to be worse than the rest of the Stephen King books that I've read. I'm going to start off with number 5, which is End of Watch. This is not a bad book. Every other book that I have read by Stephen King that is better than this, I have enjoyed. I enjoyed this too. Everything else is just better. So this is the 3rd book in the Bill Hodges trilogy, so it's sort of wrapping up everything that's happened. But I did not like the way that it wrapped up the trilogy because Mr. Mercedes and Finders Keepers are 2 excellent books that are pure crime novels that are dark and twisted. This is crime fiction that's still dark and twisted, but they introduce some weird supernatural technology crap that I just couldn't care for. And that was where this book fell down on my list of Stephen King books. I just didn't like where this trilogy ended up, so End of Watch is number 5 on my list. For number 4, I hate to put this on the list, but The Dark Tower 4, Wizard and Glass. I like the entire Dark Tower series, but this one just happens to be my least favourite. So this book is about 850 pages, something like that. Yeah, 840 pages this book is, and it's not that bad. Like, the writing is beautiful, it's incredible writing. I just didn't care for the story. So I've always said that The Dark Tower, the series kind of begins at book 3, like where the story actually begins, because the first book is like a prologue, second book is an introduction to some of the characters, third book, they're on the journey, they're off. This book, they pause their journey to tell an 800-page backstory, and I did not care. The writing was gorgeous, like I loved it, it was beautifully written, but terrible. I didn't care for the story. The writing was good, story, poop. So for number 3, I have Cycle of the Werewolf. This is an illustrated novel. It's illustrated by Bernie Wrightson, and it is about a werewolf that terrorizes like a village every month. And it's really short, and it's just not that great. It's got amazing illustrations, like props to the illustrator because these are very good illustrations. But it's just not an engaging story, there's not a very good plot, and if this book didn't exist, I would be happy. So now, getting into the book that I hate. Number 2 is Rose Madder. So the funny thing is, the first 200 pages of this book, absolutely brilliant, love it, think it's great, but then it got supernatural and weird. So this book is about a woman called Rosie who is in an abusive marriage with her husband Norman, and one day she sees a spot of blood on her pillow after an incident with Norman. She decides, right, she's done, and she does a runner. She steals his credit card and just gets the hell out of her relationship, out of her town, everything. She just ditches everything and runs away. So the first 200 pages of this book were really, really good. And then this stupid, dumb, supernatural, weird event happened that just ruined the book for me. If this was like a classic chase story where Norman was hunting her down, which he is, but there was no supernatural sort of vibe, I would like this book. Probably be in my top 5. But once it got supernatural, that's where it really went down the toilet. And I just didn't care for it. It just got so weird to the point where it was stupid. And I just really, really did not think that that was the right thing to do with this book. A lot of people who defend this book often say, oh, well, it's Stephen King. Of course it's supernatural. What do you expect? But I think that this novel would have been absolutely fine without the supernatural aspect. He doesn't have to write in supernatural events into his books to make it good. Like, you've got Mr. Mercedes, that one's great. Finders Keepers, that one's great. The Stand, that's not supernatural at all. It's brilliant. King has proven to us that he doesn't need to add supernatural events into his books to make them good. So that's my counter-argument against people who say that the supernatural is to be expected. But it was just unnecessary and it was rubbish to the point where I wanted to throw this book out the window. Like, it was just rubbish. So yeah, number 2, Rose Madder. And finally, number 1, which is my least favourite Stephen King book of all time, and actually my least favourite book of all time, Cell. So this book is about a zombie apocalypse caused by people using their phones. So anyone on their phone during an event called the Pulse gets turned into a ravaging zombie. I can't tell if the concept sounds amazing or the worst thing I've ever heard in my life. The story is the worst thing I've ever read in my life. It's got really forgettable, unengaging characters that I just couldn't care for. The plot was all over the place. The ending was ambiguous, but in a bad way. Like, the ending of Pet Sematary was ambiguous, but it was one of the best endings ever. This one was just terrible. This book was just all over the place. The one thing I like about this book is the villain. The Raggedy Man is cool, but everything else about this book is just absolutely downright terrible. Stephen King is a genius, so I have no idea how that genius created this. This shouldn't have been published. I don't know how this got past editors and how the editors didn't think, this book is terrible, Steve, you need to rewrite it or just think of a new idea. I don't understand how this became a book. I don't get it. It was just terrible. You see, here's the thing. Stephen King has proved to us that he can write apocalyptic novels. Like, he wrote The Stand, and that is one of the best books I've ever read. It was purely a work of art. This was just awful. I don't understand what went so wrong with this book and how Stephen King thought, oh, this is a good idea. Actually, I think he has acknowledged that this is one of his weaker novels, but this isn't just one of his weaker novels, it's his worst novel, and I just didn't like it. I'll probably reread it at some point, see if it changes my mind, but I really don't want to reread it because it's terrible. But yeah, this is my least favourite book of all time. So these are my least favourite Stephen King books ever. I don't really like making negative videos because I want to encourage you guys to read Stephen King because he is my favourite author. But these I'd say stay clear of. Maybe not Wizard and Glass because it is necessary to the story. If you want to read the Hodder trilogy, go ahead because this one wasn't that bad. These 3, maybe give these a skip. So if you've enjoyed this video, please give a big fat thumbs up. Comment below if you want to see any more of these list videos because I do enjoy making them. Subscribe to my channel for more bookish videos and turn on post notifications by ringing that bell if you want to be notified every single time I upload a new video. My Goodreads link is in the description below, as is my Instagram. I hope you had a great day, hope tomorrow's even better, and I will see you for another video. Goodbye.